I enjoy it more than going to a party. I enjoy it more than any other art form.
You know, it's better than sex, you know? It's better than love.
I think I've had dreams of beautiful women that I've seen in films.
When the theater is crowded, the aisle is the best place to be. I don't want to get overheated. I have a place to put my bags.
84 was when I think I became a serious cinephile.
All my life, I suppose, but I didn't take it seriously until in August 1950 when I was 14 years old.
It's beyond obsession, you know, I don't know what it is. There's no word for it, so you could call it cinephilia.
Billy Wilder, Lana Turner, Rainer Werner Fassbinder, Judy Garland, Cary Grant, James Stewart, Humphrey Bogart, la manie du cinéma, Cinemania, la manie du cinéma, Cinemania, Isabella Gianni, Anna Magnani, Roman Polanski, Klaus Kinski, Alain Delon, Michel Simon, Jack Lemmon, Jack Nicholson, Julie Christie, Jacques Tati, Warren Beatty, Visconti, Jean-Luc Godard, Jean Renoir, Stéphane Audran, Trintignant, Alfred Hitchcock.
J'aime le cinéma. J'aime le cinéma. Well, what I do is I go to films every day, and I see, you know, 1, 2, 3 films a day, occasionally 4 or 5. If I don't go to 5 in a day, then I'll end up missing something that's playing. Everything else in my life generally has to be structured around that. I have torn my hair out for years over films that I've missed. You know, because I don't go to weddings, you know, I don't go to funerals, you know, I don't visit people in the hospital, you know, if I have a screening to go to, you know, and I make people who are close to me understand that they can't expect that. And there's this one woman who always, whenever I see her, she always says, "There you are. Every time I go to a movie, you're there," you know. And I say, you know, well, that's me. Here I am. I mean, that's the only thing to say, really.
I moved here the day before the Fassbinder retrospective started, and it was for that reason. I've seen thousands of films. I've seen La Dolce Vita, which is perhaps my favorite film, in 8.5. Those 2 films I've seen many times. And I will see a Godard film as many chances as I get. Why? Film is a substitute for life. Film is a form of living. As a film lover, you have to accept that that is normal for you. That is not something pathological. The rest of society might think that it is, but to have not had sex in many years, but to have had all these experiences with film.
Now Harvey's a fascinating example because he's somebody who will see almost anything you put before him.
Oh, here's a classic.
Any Hollywood movie from any year, you know, no matter how trashy, how bad.
The one they showed on Friday night was goddamn awful.
He is fairly uncritical, though, as a viewer, in the sense that he loves so much crap. And I would say he goes to about 2 a day, every day.
I figured out how much film I saw yesterday in 5 programs, and my mouth dropped. It's 9 hours and 5 minutes. I'm going, eh.
You know, you could write a whole novel based on all the strange characters there. Some people think I'm one of them, you know. No, I love Audrey Hepburn, but the best movies basically made in this country were the comedies and the musicals. Actually, my favorite actress is Ginger Rogers. I love Ginger Rogers in comedy. I mean, the last thing a film buff would ever ask themselves, another one was, what was your day like? I mean, film buffs do not socialize. Film buffs get together to see movies. They do not get together to have parties. They do not get together to know each other, you know. I hate the multiplex theaters. I think that they ruin the fun of going to movies. They're so overblown.
Roberta is the queen of cinemaniacs in New York. I think the person who's most recognizable, most visible, most notorious, you know, on the entire circuit.
I don't have any.
Roberta and I are two of the last people, maybe the two last people who will not watch video at all.
I refuse to have a television set.
Well, what Roberta told me is that she needs 150 program notes to every film.
Screening room schedules, the gay and lesbian schedules. That was after the Japan Society, and before that was the Doc Fest, and before that was the Irish Film Festival, 2 films. Before that was lunch. Before that was the schedules at the Whitney. I'm going to have to get back inside because I've only got about 5 minutes. Okay. I don't want to miss the beginning.
Us film lovers are an elite crowd. I think there's a very small group of us worldwide. We're obviously important because we're the people that these great films are being made for.
By the way, who was sitting behind me?
Your best friend.
I was afraid of that.
I do boring work during the day so that I can go to films at night, and I've avoided like preparing for some kind of real career, you know, like being a lawyer or something like that, because I'm afraid that if I became a lawyer, I wouldn't have time to study philosophy and go to films. My psychiatrist told me yesterday, he said it's a compulsion. My going to film is a compulsion. I've niched myself. I have a niche which is European cinema, after the war, and particularly since the French New Wave, 1958. This is my personal card. Bill Heidbreder, B.A., English, summa cum laude, University of California, Berkeley, writer and philosopher, interests, cultural theory, continental philosophy, film. Everybody says it's pretentious, you know, I say I'm a philosopher. Then I make these sandwiches that I take with me so that I don't have to buy pizza during the day, because pizza's expensive, especially when I'm unemployed. And I never have time to cook. I mean, there's no way I'd have time to cook. You know, people will go to a restaurant and they'll order, you know, food. They'll spend a lot of money on this. And for me, I can spend $5 or maybe nothing if I'm a member. You know, for $5, I get an aesthetic experience that, you know, no Italian restaurant, no French restaurant can begin to compare to, you know? Even though I have no ambition, really, of being a filmmaker, film critic, or a film scholar, like, to do work like Deleuze, like film theory that's very theoretical. You know, I'm very particular about things. When I was getting ready to go to the film, I would take a shower, I would make sure that I had clean underwear and clean clothes, because I didn't like to feel uncomfortable during the film, because I want it to be like a, you know, perfect experience, you know. And the other thing I do is before the film, I always go to the bathroom, even if I'm running late. Well, sometimes not if I'm running late, because that's a dilemma. But I try to get there 5 minutes early, go to the bathroom and wash my glasses. And it's terrible. I mean, I should get an eye operation, but because my glasses never get completely clean. I have pills for the sniffles in case it gets cold. I get the sniffles. I have pills for back pain. But sometimes you don't get very good back rests at the theater. When I go into the theater, if it's cold, which it will be, I'm going to go into the bathroom, and if possible, I'm going to change clothes and put on this thermal undershirt and this sweater. So I don't know. I should live in a tropical climate, but I don't know of any cities in tropical climates that have good film opportunities. I mean, the places for film are New York and Paris. Let's see. These are anxiety pills. I take those an hour before going to bed, right after the last film. And then these are the pills that I take for sleep, part of the sleeping pills. I take those 2 hours before I go to bed. So I'm okay. I'm ready. Let's see how heavy this is. No, it's kind of on the heavy side. I think I'm going to take out, I'm going to take out the computer book. And I think it'll be a little bit lighter. Yeah, it's lighter. Really? I guess I'll buy it now. Let me make sure I haven't bought it already. My therapist said I don't express enough aggression, you know, and watching movies isn't very aggressive activity. My favorite seats usually aren't the most popular seats. I have a favorite seat at MoMA, too. It's behind a barrier in the back, and that enables me to have an unobstructed view.
Walter Reed has a series on the Italian director Zerlini, who's pretty good, in late August for some rare things there. But I have Italian films from the late 50s and early 60s, so I'll see some, you know. I go there occasionally. I mean, now they're doing Alain Resnais. I can't stand him, so, you know, I'm avoiding that pretty much. Let's put it this way, French intellectuals are not my favorite people. I don't want to sound like Spyro Agnew, but I mean, they can really, I've seen some things that are real duds, you know, where you just sit there and you pull your hair out, you know, and it makes me ashamed that I'm a Francophile, but not that side to them, you know. You know, I basically like to be entertained, and some of the foreign movies are deadly. I mean, they're called masterpieces because, you know, you don't get any fun out of them, so people think they're profound. I never liked Antonioni.
And maybe what cinephilia is the point where, you know, you pay a price, you know, where there's pain involved.
I had a feeling of guilt, like, Bill, you could become some kind of professional and you could have a professional career. And you're in your, you know, this was more than 10 years ago, and you're in your 20s, and it's, you know, you're kind of letting things pass you by, and everybody else is, you know, oriented towards a career, and here you are going to films and not really doing much else.
That the commitment to cinema ultimately entails a commitment to, you know, a technically deviant lifestyle, you know, a lifestyle of on the margins. So, you know, that's the price that one pays. But in order to pay that price, I mean, it seems like one would have to have a certain passion. So maybe that's cinephilia.
Where have you been this afternoon?
Well, I went to see the Wide Blue Road again.
Bill claims that he has never been too warm in a theater, ever. You know, he's never been too warm. He told me he brought a thermal vest and put it on when he got to the theater. I can't believe it. He's always walking around in a coat. You know, that's the sort of thing you associate with people who are about 97 years old. I said I was so hot once. And it wasn't that long ago. It was at the Art Greenwich. They did not have the air conditioning on. It was boiling. I actually took off my blouse and sat there in the audience with nothing on but the bra. And the people sitting next to me didn't notice, luckily. I got it off very surreptitiously. I mean, we have to go to extremes once in a while.
My name's David Schwartz, and I'm the chief curator of film at the American Museum of the Moving Image. You know, it's New York City, so you can never rest. You're always missing something. There's always something that you should be seeing. And, you know, these people have very elaborate schedules worked out. I'm sure the subway system drives them crazy because they have 30 minutes to get from here to Lincoln Center. You know, they're dealing with that all the time. I know a lot of these buffs have figured it out to the minute. You know, they know when the film's going to start and end, and how much time they have to make it to Film Forum or the next show.
Because the real question is, how can I fit in the absolute maximum number of stuff that I want to see, you know? So I get to this point where if I don't get everything entered in there, I'm basically just guessing, and I may find that I regret it, because I may find that there was a way to fit more stuff in, you know, so I end up missing stuff, you know. So it's really important that I take the time to do it. But the process is, here's a folder where I keep all the schedules of everything that's coming up. And I have a file, film calendar. I start out by listing every film that's playing in New York that I might conceivably want to see. After I've called all the curators and found out about what the prints are like, you know, anything that there's a good print of that I might conceivably want to see, you know, that's going to show at a theater that I consider has adequate projection, I list. And then what I do after I have all this stuff listed is I narrow it down.
I also wanted to create a decision-making program, either in a database program. Supposing the film is shown on Monday and Thursday and the following Wednesday at different times, and at each of those times some other film is showing that you also want to see, and at each of those times a third film is being shown, and I would have like up to 7 films on a particular day, all of which I wanted to see. Sort of, there's a multiple chains of if-then scenarios. You know, if I see this film at that time, then I can see this film at that time, and then I can't see this film at that time, and then I have to see that film at this time, and then certain things become excluded, and you have to go through all these if-then chains of reasonings. You have to go through all of them.
But now what I do is I have all these schedules. You know, here's, you know, the 11th Annual Gay and Lesbian Film Festival, Anthology Film Archives, Film Forum 1, Film Forum 2, Brooklyn Academy of Music, Walter Reed, MoMA, etc., etc. And, you know, I just go through it. Let's find one. Like, for instance, the Film Forum 2 schedule, I know that these are all new 35mm prints. So that's a light day, a light and simple day. But to narrow this down, I mean, this is one of the worst schedules I've ever had to deal with. You know, I guess most people would say that they should have my problems, you know, so. Oh yeah, you've never seen the master list, right? The list of everything I've seen since December of '86. Let's see. I mean, you know, the year that I saw 1,000 films in 8 months is probably kind of hazy, because I was really overdoing it then. And this is around the time of my burnout. Maybe it's a little after. Yeah. The Fortune Cookie. It was probably on a double bill with Kiss Me Stupid. Oh, here was the early Hitchcocks. Aventure Malgache. That was an early propaganda short. And then there's a Cassavetes film. Then I went to Double Indemnity and The Lost Weekend. That must have been double bill. Then here's Johnny by Numbers, Peter Greenaway, Dark Passage, the Bogart and Bacall film directed by Delmar Daves. On Dangerous Ground. God, don't know where I saw that. Just a minute. Oh, that must have been at the Regency. The first time I saw it, I never cried so much. I do associate all these films with the time, you know, whatever despair, or romantic entanglements, or problems with the police. Just, you know, I can think back to what I was doing at that time, because the movies were always some kind of respite, you know, from those difficulties.
Oh, Harvey's great. Harvey, somehow Harvey knows the exact running time of every film, and if we list a film incorrectly, you know, and we're like 4 minutes off in the listing, I'll hear about it. You know, if the print we showed is not the same running time that we listed in the calendar, I'll hear about it.
Hey, what's the worst that could happen?
98 minutes. It's a good Danny DeVito, Martin Lawrence comedy.
Moulin Rouge?
208. Another good movie.
Atlantis.
It's a popcorn movie.
How long was it?
It was 95 minutes.
A Knight's Tale?
212.
For Whom the Bell Tolls?
2 hours. 2 hours.
Oh, here are the soundtracks.
The soundtracks are right there.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, you have so many.
This is all Jerry Goldsmith up to Citizen Kane. And then from Citizen Kane,
There's Bernard Herrmann.
Bernard Herrmann. And then it goes into Bickles Rosa. Here, you can't even get this one, and this is a great movie.
This is not a great movie. This
What?
movie sucks.
Now, if you open this, you'll see them do the makeup on the guy. The inside is the makeup on the Elephant Man. It's the original It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Look at that. You can't get that anywhere. Roy Budd. Ooh. Square root of 0. Look at that. This played with Valia Guanji in '69, and this movie never shows up. Destination Moon by Lee Stevens. There we go. There's another one. And War of the Worlds by Lee Stevens. There you go.
You have the Alan Funt
I
movie
always have the Alan-
soundtrack.
And I've seen both versions of this movie. Rocket Ship XM.
I wish you had a stereo so we could hear these.
I don't have a record player, and the stereo doesn't work that good. All right, Jack. You ready for a shot?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Harvey's Bristol Cream. Would your mother object?
Who's in her Jack? She's not here. I'm here. I'm offering you. Yeah. Well, she went away. She wanted the dust.
When your parents
It's a little messy. So
when your parents were still together, did they sleep in the same bedroom?
No, she moved in there after a couple of years. And she didn't want him bothering her. So I was here all day yesterday. That's 5 programs. Oh my God. Special screenings. But I have the weirdest memory of a horror film from the 50s, and nobody knows what it is. It's the weirdest memory. It's a refrigerator. They open the refrigerator. They're all body parts in the refrigerator wrapped in paper.
Okay, great.
And they take out one body part and there's a human eye sticking out of the paper. I said, "Where? I know it's from the 50s, but nobody knows, never heard of that movie." I said, "Oh my God, that's the strangest." And I must have been a little kid when I saw this. I time every single thing I sit through because I'm curious, that's why. If it runs a minute over, 5 minutes over, 10 minutes over, even a whole reel. That's right. I know what it is. Oh, by the way, the movie tonight is 108 minutes at 9 o'clock. That was another friend of mine. I was just going to tell him the running time on it. Mr. Running Time, yes, I know. Oh, wow. This is my seat. You're always in the center.
Oh, are you a film buff?
Film buff, that's right.
Oh, are you watching all the movies here?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I had in mind this was the only place that would make sense for you to shoot me, but obviously you're not going to because Harvey's more interested.
Take one. She's not the star today. I'm the star.
Basically just took a class at the new school, and they taught me how to use a 16mm camera, and
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to clear this area for the next program.
I'm going to try to pick up some more flyers over there on that shelf. I can't even go to the bathroom or anything.
We have to dress up and learn the theater, yeah.
I think they're already, haven't they already? Haven't people started going downstairs? That ought to about do it. Hi, Fred. You're coming downstairs, are you not?
I can't have to go to the bathroom during the day when I'm running around. You know, like, I mean, I do not have free time during the day. Like, I mean, I'm frequently, like, running from one movie to the next. Like, I would have to just jump, you know, run right out of the theater and jump on a train to get to the next one, you know?
We'd even be careful about what he would eat, even if it would be to the detriment of his health. Like, he wouldn't eat too many vegetables or too much fiber because it might, like, actually change his bathroom schedule. So he was actually on this, like, somewhat constipating diet just because it was more convenient for him.
That's right. I didn't like to eat a lot of beans or you know, like a, you know, just a full meal of vegetables, you know, would just be, that would, you know, spell disaster the following day. Cost is never the consideration. You know, you might not go to something because it's not very rare, and then you can see something else instead, you know? But to let money enter into it at all, you know, is a betrayal. That's a betrayal of your vocation. I mean, obviously $25, that's one thing. I mean, that, you know, you live on the edge, you know, $25 for films, you know, that can sink you. I inherited some money from an aunt who died. Unless I spend it all on prostitutes, I'm now I'm set for life. But yeah, Harvey, Roberta, and Eric all collect disability.
I try to be kind of careful about seeing first-run films because first-run films are $9, but everything else is $5 or free. The French Institute is free because I have a membership. MoMA is free because I have a membership. And I can't think of any place else, but I have memberships everywhere. My unemployment is going to run out before the New York Film Festival starts. But if there's something really good in the New York Film Festival and $14 looks like a lot of money to me at the time, I'm going to go.
How much do I see really every day? Well, it depends. If you go into a multiplex, sometimes if you get lucky, you can see maybe 3 films. But lately at AMC, they're getting very tricky. They're watching the escalator. You try and get up the elevator, they have guys on the elevator actually say, "Where's your ticket?" So you can't do it like that. You know? My best trick is to see that nobody's in front of the theater watching, and then you just walk in. That's my best trick. Well, you know what I did? I went on the other escalator because they were on one escalator, and I went on the other escalator. So I went up the escalator. As I was going up the escalator, I took out my wallet, took out my red ticket. And that's what I used to get in. What's the red ticket? The red ticket is what gets you in. This is like, you know, trying to get in and you know, things. I like the old days. I just remember I can't. You had a ticket. Fine, go in. No name, no nothing. Less trouble. Now it's just more trouble. Undercover car. I love you, and
A lot of the best cinema, I think, sort of is not so much about creating an image of reality that presents reality as a beautiful dream, but actually the opposite, stripping off the dream from reality to see the kind of naked evil and nothingness that lurks. So I'm sure cinema has helped me to see that as well.
This is the kind of thing I would have bought at one time.
Really?
Yeah.
You used to read him?
No, but it sounds interesting.
Oh.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
I see Eric hasn't changed at all.
Did you expect me to, you know? Well, I have a different cap and a
No, in
different
fact, you haven't
bag.
really changed in the 10 years that I've known you, or
maybe.
11 years.
I think I'm more mellow now. We were talking about that.
Yeah, but you haven't changed, like, in your appearance.
I've gained more weight.
Have you?
I think so, unfortunately. Ah, boy.
You're a big Betty Hutton fan, though.
Most of the time. Once in a while she goes over the edge, but no, I like Betty Hutton a lot. She was a really good entertainer.
What did you think of Stella Stevens?
I liked her. She was one of the better of those 60s people that didn't really make it big. Stella Stevens, Suzanne Plachette, they were a few people.
What about Paula Prentice?
A little mannered. She tried, though, you know. I mean, you know, I can't even remember what Tom Tyler movies I've seen and what Hope Gibson movies I've seen. I don't mind seeing them. You know, I like Westerns up to a point. At least they're not pretentious.
How many times do you think you've seen Ruggles and Red Gap?
Oh, many times, especially since the video. I mean,
Take a guess.
Oh, at least 20 probably by now. I try to watch that every year. I mean, Mary Boland is a passion of mine, I have to mention that.
How many times have you seen Stage Door?
Probably about the same. You know, you'll like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, even though it's not like the book at all. It's a wonderful comic novel. And
You're not a big fan of the Stanwyck?
no, that goes downhill. That's dragged out, though she's wonderful.
What about Monkey Business?
Not that much. Rogers is good.
Karen Morley, is that a fan of yours?
Yeah.
I mean, are you a fan of hers?
Pretty much.
She's still alive?
She's over 90. And she was a communist.
Yeah, although the wrong
She's making
kind.
appearance, you know.
Yeah.
He made
This guy's so stupid.
In the green pan.
I don't know, the guy's so stupid. That's why. Maybe you want to make a turn, but I don't know what the stupid's trying to do.
They must like
The one thing I miss you for is finding out about the prince. I would like to know whether Applause is in 16.
I bet it is.
I wish you could call about that.
Well, you could call them. I'll give you the numbers.
I left you one message.
This guy just says, I thought this
Oh, I
is
know. I've been meaning to call you. I've just been a little bit.
Nope.
I didn't realize there was a parade today. What is the fucking parade?
What, you know,
What parade is there?
Hey, move your car now. What are you doing there?
If I had known about this, I wouldn't have suggested taking this route. What parade is there today? What day is today?
Bergman was a trend. Bergman began to be a trend when American movies started to be lousy. People started to go to Bergman.
You didn't like the Godard film, did you?
More than some people did. No,
Oh, you
I
did.
wasn't that crazy about them.
Do you like Breathless?
I like Belmondo. The movie itself is kind of dull.
So you sleep on this couch?
Yes.
Wow.
No.
Well,
that's all right.
Wow, this is much worse than my apartment.
What do you mean by much worse? I mean, you know, you have a lot of space. I have one room. There was a very difficult person here a few years ago who looks at me at one point. He says, "Do you consider yourself a normal person?" That's a hard, well, you know, no, but then again, you know, what does that mean? Are you normal?
No.
Yeah, see?
But all normal means is being like everybody else.
Yeah,
It's not.
nobody
It shouldn't
is.
have any kind of evaluation attached to it. You know.
And film
Why
buffs
would
are
it be
basically
good to
people
be
that
like
don't
everybody
want to
else?
be like everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's normal. In prison, it's normal to to be a rapist.
I know.
Probably so.
I know people know, but
it just depends on where you are.
Yeah. I like that. That has a lot of flavor, even though it's got that wartime propaganda. But I wouldn't call this a poor quality,
Tape?
Well,
it's terrible.
You're fussy.
What are you talking about? Look at all this red.
That's
here.
letterbox.
No, but you can see it in the image. It's all flickering. I can't believe you can watch this.
I can. There's a lot worse. I've seen this about 50 times by now.
Look at how cute Miriam Hopkins is. Look at her.
Yeah. I'm going to show two endings that I really like, and then you can see if you can get clearance. The tiny remark that tortures you, that feels that your friends won't like her too. I'm glad I'm not young anymore.
Now remember, darling, love me and never question.
I'm gonna keep that. You like Fassbinder, right? I never understood what people saw in him.
I love Fassbinder.
I don't even pronounce his name right. That just shows you it's Bender. It's not Binder.
Do you enjoy Singing in the Rain?
Yeah. That was something that was liked, and then Hale really pushed it. Because people didn't go around calling that a great musical. It's one of the best.
What's your favorite Esther Williams movie?
Oh, Dangerously Wet, but that doesn't mean much. That has some nice things.
There are some people, like Roberta's another one, or Jack Angstreich. There are some film buffs where if I see them in the audience, then I feel kind of like proud because I know that they think that what we're showing is the best thing available that day in the city. So it's like a stamp of approval.
I'm not a front row person.
That's right.
I heard that. I want to see that cast.
Atlantis was Disney's attempt at the adult market.
Good.
There you are.
Yeah.
I was looking for you.
Picture. I only came because
It's not Jim Varney's last film.
Jim Varney's in it.
He's the voice of the cook on the submarine.
God. Darling. Oh, darling. I'm going to die. Don't let me die.
Yeah.
Take me in your arms. Hold me tight. Don't let me go.
Sure.
It's dark out there and lonely.
Jeez.
That is such a beautiful film. And the thing that hit me the last time I saw it, and even more strongly this time, is that the real reason that Catherine had to die was that Frederick loved her more than he loved God, and God he's a jealous God. He can't bear that anyone love anything more than they love him. They'd always take it. He's
In a film, you could meet a woman that you loved, but who didn't love you back. You could meet her, and you could decide that you didn't want to ever see her again. And while she went to the bathroom, while she got up and went to make a phone call or to pay the check, you could write a note on a napkin, and you could say, "I don't ever want to see you again." And you could get up and leave and walk out into the traffic. And there's this beautiful shot of that person walking out into the traffic, crossing the street into their new life. They've put this unrequited love behind them, and that's the end of the film. But if you do that in real life, you cross the street. You end up reaching the other side of the street, and then you have to go home.
Where is this subway entrance that's open?
Subway in front of the corner right here. Cross over straight to the other side.
Around the corner? But I've always liked exploring the filmmaking and the culture of other countries. When I first became seriously interested in movies in 1950, that was something I wanted to do as a matter of course, was see films from as many countries as I could. And they were so different, of course. What I really love is a well-made historical film. Something that does indeed send me running to the encyclopedia.
Roberta is famous for having all kinds of, these vicious arguments, where she's, strangled people or hit them or started screaming at them, claiming she never talked to them again, thrown her glasses down, against a wall and stuff like that,
She wasn't particularly nice. And you sort of just kind of let her go. And I remember being down there and I was alone. One of the guards was just around the corner and seeing Roberta just bursting through the doors, running, in a sweat and a panic, and she couldn't wait to get in through the doors. I asked for her ticket, and I saw how rude she was, and she was coming right towards me, and she wasn't going to give up her ticket. And I said, well, then you're not entering. You must give me your ticket. And finally, she held it up, and I don't remember so much ripping it out of her hands, but at this point, I had just ran out of patience, and I took it, and I ripped it, gave her the stub, and said, next. And she lunged at me. She had both arms around my neck, and she tried choking me. She obviously didn't know what she was doing, and she just was so angry. It was as if I ripped up a Bible or something, and I didn't know how precious that ticket stub was. But I think she did say that I was evil. I think she did say that, things like I was ruining her life, and that was the most terrible thing, and how could I? And then I found out that she had kept every single ticket stub her entire life, probably from the time she was a young girl seeing movies.
So there's a...
want some of the schedules off. Yes, Rush's Wonder Children I definitely want to see. And that is also on film, is it not?
Work that out, yeah.
In other words, get here fairly early.
She's a very compulsive person and not compromising in some of her habits, and she gets in a lot of fights with the places she goes to, and a lot of people don't understand her, and she cannot go to MoMA anymore, and even if she could, she wouldn't want to because of the fact that they told her not to come.
So I wasn't there when management decided they had to revoke her membership. But then where it becomes humorous is that she, there are 4 lines to enter into the museum, and every Thursday night you have pay what you wish, so anyone could come in and donate a few pennies and get in to see the movie, you know, for free. And non-members do this, and people on a budget do this. So I was posted in one of the registers, and out of all 4 lines, who is standing in my line, you know, on a very crowded night, but Roberta. And she's wearing a wig, and she's wearing blue eyeshadow, like beyond her, and a very poorly placed lipstick everywhere. So she approaches me, and she, you know, gives me some change, and, you know, 1 ticket, please. And I said, "Hi, Roberta, you look very nice this evening," you know, and she was like, "I'm caught," you know, like, how could you tell, you know, "I'm not Roberta, I'm not Roberta." Then she really flipped out, you know, and then she started crying, and the guard wasn't going to let her in and said, you know, "You better please leave." Maybe to her, that was something out of a movie. Maybe she had seen this before, and it worked in the film. Maybe I brought her into reality, and she didn't want to be there, you know. She just wanted to be in the film, and that's why she got so upset.
Is no longer. I'll say it's just a bunch of snobs as far as I'm concerned.
Hefty. Okay. Yeah, but I think they want people to change them. They do.
For Roberta, cinema becomes imprisoning. And we all have to struggle with that. I mean, I have to struggle with it too, you know. But she is so far in the prison that it's, to me, just a hopeless, you know, Sisyphean, you know, life.
There are all sorts of interesting little things in here. Oh yes, this is these are the beautiful illustrated programs from Himalaya, which is playing at Cinema Village right now. The one from Cannes, I actually found in a trash can in Midtown. It was just sitting there on top, looking at me. I just cannot imagine all these things being thrown out, but it's probably going to happen in the next few months, completely. Because I assume I'm going to get evicted, you know, in the fall. Yes. Or in this cupboard. They're stacked by size. See what's on top. Oh, these are so crudely done, I never remember what movie it is. Oh yes, I do remember, The Last Action Hero. The really great ones are the complete set from Jurassic Park, but I don't have the strength to try to get them out because they're right at the back. It was very hard getting the complete set with all the dinosaurs. Even this water bottle is from an independent film called Water. The film? Oh no, not at all. No, the filmmaker gave it out and said, of course, I could keep it in the bottle intact if I wanted to, and it's still intact.
Here's Walt Disney, a criminal. A very bad man. Well, first of all, the Disney Corporation has got to be one of the most evil forces in the history of mankind. And he produced incredibly bad films year after year. I mean, they're coming out all the time, and they soak up more and more money. He was a fascist, a right-wing fascist. Lena Riefenstahl was a great artist, but interestingly, he was the one person that would meet with her, in the 30s. When she came to Hollywood. One thing about him, though, is he had his body frozen. He wanted to, he hoped that someday cryogenics and revivification would advance to a point where his body could be unfrozen and he could be brought back to life. But he was just a lunatic. And there's Richie, the great projectionist. He's the best projectionist in the city, though. He's legendary. I mean, I always tell people, Richie is the only person I know of in the city who actually uses gels when a print starts to fade. He'll actually put a gel in front of the... Where do you put it? In front of the projector?
Right in front of the lens, yeah.
He puts it right in front of the lens
it was in for the last show.
Oh, yeah.
Because the print of The Fury was so faded because it's an original print. I mean, the print was okay, except that it turned pink.
Yeah.
So I put the green gel.
You can reduce the
If you put
redness.
a green gel, green cancels red.
Yeah.
So you take a little bit of the pink out. You put a little bit of green in, but it's preferable
And with
when
a
looking...
film that's just starting to turn, he pretty much can make it...
You can't even tell the
You
difference.
can pretty much make it fine. And he saved films for me. Films I would have definitely walked out of because he put gels I was able to see. I don't remember what they were, now, but he's the only person who does that.
It took me a long time to find the right color green gel, too.
That print of Chinatown last week was a disaster.
Was it?
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense because the studio has a new print that they made, so they fuck you over when they do that. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, it's like first you have to fight the curators, you have to fight the projectionists, you have to fight the studios. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's why he's such an asset,
All right, Jack.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
And I think sometimes people can get so obsessed with these technical details that it can ruin the experience. I mean, there's one buff who, we recently showed uncut version of Until the End of the World, Wim Wenders movie it's like close to 5 hours long. And, there was one buff who noticed that the masking at the top of the frame was just a little bit off. So just a tiny portion of the picture was being cropped out. And it just drove him nuts. He couldn't experience the film, and it was a beautiful print. It's a director's print. It looked fantastic. It sounded great. But just knowing that there was like a tiny sliver of picture missing, ruined it. He couldn't enjoy the film at all.
Obviously, you always end up making compromises. I mean, every splice, one splice in a pristine print is a compromise. Because ideally, you should say, no, I won't even, just for this one splice, I won't watch this. It's mutilated. But, you never know who's in the booth there, I mean, very rarely. And, they're kind of insulated from the public. Thing is, I do call them all the time. I have the numbers I'm like probably the only member of the public who actually has the phone numbers to the booths. I intend to get a cellular phone because I can't stand the fact that you can't, if something's out of focus or the sound isn't on, you have to actually go out and tell a guard who has to call the information desk who then, I want to be able to call the booth directly and not have to leave my seat, so.
Excuse me? I don't know. She doesn't look like in the movie.
Oh, Roberta's here? Oh, yeah, that's right. She is. Where is she? Where are you going?
I have to go to BAM, remember?
Is that silent today?
Yes. You're not going?
I don't go to BAM anymore.
Why not?
Projection.
Oh, God. Yes, but I have to go to bed.
I know.
Unfortunately, you have hit me at a period when I haven't even scheduled anything for the next 2 weeks because it's nothing but conflicts. And I sat down to do it today, working with what I thought were all the schedules from the Walter Reed, the Film Forum. Well, I didn't get as far as the Human Rights Watch Film Festival, the Japan Society, the...
So this movie had horses in it?
Unfortunately.
Why did you say unfortunately? I thought you loved horses.
You think I want to see one drop dead?
Well, we don't know that they actually died in real life.
Oh, come on. It's the... Why would you suspend belief for one part of it and not another? What's the point of watching a movie if you don't...
Well, they didn't just die in the film.
You're just gonna bug me again.
What do you mean bug
That's
you?
all you're doing. Look, you're messing it up, Jack.
What do you mean messing it up?
Okay, so long.
Was film going ever escapist?
Yeah.
In your more clear moments, you've admitted that, you know, for all of your research and your profundity,
It was always
there
escapist.
was an element of escapism.
Absolutely, from the very
From
beginning.
reality, from pain.
Absolutely. But the point is that what I always argued is that there was no reason why reality should be privileged. You know, that to me, it's just ideology to say, you know, oh, well, that's
Live
just
in
escapism.
reality.
Yeah. You know, like, who would want to live in this reality? You know, I would go to sleep at night, and the images of films would overwhelm me. You know, I would sort of renew the excitement of what I had seen, because it was like discovering a new world. It was a joke that I dreamed in CinemaScope, you know, or in black and white, or, you know, that I had to stop the dream because it was in the wrong aspect ratio.
I think it's kind of funny.
That nightmares are only in video, you know.
No, thank God, I've never had a nightmare in video, or any sort of dream in video. I've certainly done film. Huge movie palaces, and I've gone into them in the dreams and marveled at the architecture, the great lobbies, the grand staircases. The streets are deserted at night, but here are these great theaters, and they're all alive and active.
It's all neurosis in a way, you know. The need to have to see films is neurotic in a way, but you can make neurosis, you know, a vehicle for discovery.
Disability?
Well, it's a disability to need to go to films.
Not any more than it is to need to smoke or have a
But you don't get
housekeeper or.
But nobody gets disability for smoking or housekeeping.
Well, of course they say I'm obsessive compulsive.
Oh, okay.
But then, obviously, I was always proud of that until just recently, and now people have tried to convince me that being a collector and wanting to preserve things and wanting to share them is wrong. It's terrible.
I mean, if they think that I'm a schizophrenic, then that shows the absolute bankruptcy of their methodology. The psychiatric standpoint is a standpoint which essentially denies intense experience. I mean, maybe it admits the intense experience of the orgasm and the intense experience of love. The idea of visionary experience, visionary experience is psychosis to psychiatry. I think that they start from an idea that there is a normal, healthy way of living. You know, I don't see that anybody lives healthily, certainly not under capitalism.
Bag? Yes. Oh, well, I've got a bag. You've got my bag there. So.
Do you have a section on William James, or would you be in the philosophy section?
These 10 boxes, this is all mine. Oh, this is great. Just found this yesterday. Now, I knew about this book before, but I never hunted one down, and it was reprinted. It's out of print now. This is devoted to character actors, the people that Eric loves to talk about. So, open it up inside, and there's photos of everybody. Marie Windsor, who just died, who was a great femme fatale, and she's in The Killing and Force of Evil. And Alice Brady, a wonderful comedian of the pre-Code era. Elsa Lanchester, who was married to Charles Laughton, although they were both gay. So anyway, this was a great discovery. I mean, there's no need to belabor the point. Here's Ronald Reagan. The films. I can't believe there's a book. Can you imagine? It's out of print. $17.
Can we get that one too?
Huh?
Can we get this other one too?
Yeah.
How unusual.
They want to film
You're
it.
actually paying for a book. As many years he was a shoplifter.
People can't imagine me outside of this city. They think I'm an incredible New York type. I mean, I've been told that many times, you know. You're really you know, this very specific New York type. Although, usually they can't find anybody else who's like me. And I've been compared to Woody Allen also. And certainly he was an identification figure. And, you know, when I think about the attractive non-Jewish women I've been with, you know, I always think, well, where would I be without Woody Allen? Before I ever really realized that, like, cinema was my destiny, I was very into voyeurism. I mean, I've always thought that if I had money, I would invest it in surveillance equipment, you know. And I've always, you know, always spied on people.
Anyway, that's an improvement. Oh, okay. Oh, I gotta take the time though, because it must
Just come dump something.
Where is that roll lady? I got here early in order so that I could save the seats. If you'd like to come and get the seat, just get here earlier than me. It's very simple.
Where's the rule that makes the seat reserved?
I've never seen any manager say that there was anything wrong with doing that.
Do you know who's in design for living? The other play, the other movie?
Gary Cooper.
Wow.
And Miriam Hopkins.
You can't let people ruin a film. I've had to rip the food out of somebody's hands and throw it on the floor. But really, there's no alternative. If you don't get up and beat the person up or threaten them or something, then you're going to actually have the film be ruined. And you have the right to kill them. You have the right to do whatever you need to get them to stop. I mean, killing them is not a very practical solution because then when the film ends, and maybe even before it ends, you get arrested. When I saw a lady from Shanghai the last time, it wouldn't be enough to be able to make love to Rita Hayworth. You would want to be able to make love to her in black and white. You know, that you know, whether you could get contact lenses, you know, or glasses that would turn everything monochrome. But there's this strange thing, you know, that her lips are not red. You know, they're brown, and they're not brown because they're brown lipstick. They're brown or gray, whatever they are, dark gray, because they're in black and white, in this luminous, silvery black and white. And she's a fetish object, not merely, you know, because she's beautiful, but because she's being photographed by Wells's camera. And you can't just make love to Rita Hayworth, but you have to make love to her image in the film, not just her character, but her image. You know, one of the reasons why my sexuality is such a you know, a gargantuan failure is that it's a failure to live up to its cinematic models, you know? Is that sex is never in black and white. I wanna be loved by you and nobody else, but that's from the wrong movie. Here's Sophia. Oh my God, there's the most amazing picture of Sophia Loren here. Wait, let me find it. With Jane Mansfield. There it is. Oh my God. Sophia Loren looking at Jane Mansfield's breasts. This is an amazing photograph. I'm trying to remember her lines. Oh God, Dorothy. Look, oh my God, tell me if this is not insanity. Look at her. 1966. Mind-boggling.
What if we had a film series curated by Jack called Films with Women I Want to Make Love to?
I guess that would be a good series.
I think that would be a great series.
Just in Italy alone, it's insane. You know, Stefania Sondrelli and, you know, Sophia Loren and...
at a certain age. At
certain ages,
right.
Yeah.
Which fortunately
Gina
is preserved
Lollobrigida and
forever.
Ornella Muti and...
I want to move to France, and I'd really like to marry somebody who is a citizen of the European Union. I'm thinking of joining an a dating service online to meet women in Paris, but I haven't done that yet. You know, I mean, I'm not an unattractive guy, just old and just middle-aged and poor.
What is this?
This is my film ad, my dating ad.
It's huge.
What's my dating ad? It's not an ad. This is the shtick that I give over the phone.
Do you want me to read it? Left Bank Film Buff. Keep ad as is. Hi, my name's Bill. My age, 38, Jewish, former grad student who came to New York 3 years ago and loves it here because of the cultural opportunities. I have a Mediterranean personality. I'm not even sure what that means.
Bill, what
at
is
once
that?
passionate. At once passionate and intellectual.
Yeah,
and my
true,
main
it's
interests
true.
are cultural theory and philosophy on the one hand and film on the other. My tastes in film are decided, you probably mean decidedly, right?
Yes.
Decidedly international and especially European and to a large extent, but by no means exclusively, French. I do like a lot of American films, both Hollywood and independent, and will go to them with pleasure. But it's not been my specialty and is not my area of knowledge. That would be European language cinema from the French New Wave to the present. The places I tend to see pics are the Museum of Modern Art, Walter Reed Theater at Lincoln Center, Anthology Film Archives, the Alliance Française French Institute, American Museum of the Moving Image, Film Forum, and BAM, as well as regular theaters for current releases. I've seen thousands of films and can advise people on what's worth seeing. Among well-known filmmakers, those I especially like include Godard, Antonioni, Fassbinder, Bertolucci, Fellini, Angelopoulos, Almodovar, René, Arturo Ripstein, Bertrand Blier, Claude Chabrol, Bergman, Truffaut, Wong Kar-wai, Ho Xiao-shen, David Lynch, and others. I'm looking for friends that share my film interest that I can go to things with and enjoy some companionship and conversation. Because I'm also single, if it comes also under the rubric of dating, that's great. And would you please indicate if you are a single female and dating is a possibility? However, I need friends and people to talk to more generally as well, so I'm interested in responses from anyone of any age and either gender. Of course, I don't have a racial or cultural preference. I'm pretty international. I'm just looking to meet people who share my interest in film. Please leave your name, phone numbers including work number if possible times for me to call, and a brief mention of what kind of things interest you. Remember to leave your phone number. Thanks. Wow, it's a very long message. I'm amazed that there's as much...
Isn't it good?
I think a lot of girls would call you a nerd. Well, they might not be right, but I think they would.
There's an Orthodox synagogue next door, and it's full of nerds. And I'm going to a party to meet women.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you're going to find an Orthodox film lover?
Synagogue? No, I think it's a complete waste of time in that sense. But, I don't know. Too bad you're not a female. I can marry you.
If there was more homosexuality in the world of cinephilia, there would be a lot more happiness in that world, I think.
My taste in film would be classified as feminine by a lot of people because I don't see action films. I like relationship films, and I mean, in terms of television programming, relationships stories are for women.
Was there a film that you thought was very romantic?
There's a lot of films that I thought. I mean, Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I mean, it's a romantic film.
You don't cry during that movie?
I don't know.
Umbrellas of Cherbourg, I wept for many blocks, I think. After the film ended, I was just in tears, walking away. Some films, The Searchers, oh my God. Even when the song, even during the credits, I start to cry during the credits. Just hearing the song, and I'm in tears literally. Some films I weep so much during that they actually obscure the film. So like Umbrellas of Cherbourg, the first time, I was in tears so much I could barely see the screen.
As long as you realize that the people up there on the screen are not flesh and blood, that they can't react to you. But a lot of people become fans of people, and they do treat them like friends, and yeah, they can be more. I was devastated by Audrey Hepburn's death. I mean, to me, she meant more than my relatives. It's too intense a feeling if you really like something,
What?
If you really like something passionately, you have to have a sense of humor.
Are there a lot of French people that come to this restaurant?
Yeah, we do get a lot. I mean, oddly enough, because it's a very French. I mean, I wouldn't go to an American restaurant in Paris, but French people come to a French restaurant here. Yeah.
See, I want to marry a French woman so that I can live in Paris.
There was a French woman here earlier who was looking for a film buff, and you just missed. You just missed her.
Is she coming back? I'll give you my card.
I don't think so. It was a one-time deal. She came in desperate for a film buff. She's going to every bar in the city.
No, just in case you see her again, could I give you my card?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
It's very pretentious, but it's actually true.
No, she was a very pretentious film buff herself. Are you a writer and philosopher?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, when I get time.
Yeah.
It should say writer and bad philosopher on it. Bill doesn't really understand cinema or art. But at least he likes it, which is fine, that's good enough.
What is the difference in liking it and understanding it?
Well, you don't have the ability to make distinctions. I mean, you think you do, but you don't. If, for instance, somebody saw you in the documentary and decided to cast you in a film,
I'd go for it. Probably. I wouldn't mind being an actor in France.
Have you been out of the country?
I've been to Quebec.
Oh, that's French Canada. For me, when I was a teenager, I used to see all those scenes where, in Godard films and other films where they would sit in cafes. It's just a tremendous pleasure to sit and watch nothing happen. Just two people sitting and talking, And I really thought if I just went to Europe, I could have that experience. But to my amazement, when I went to Europe and sat in those cafes, it was just sitting in a cafe. I would never see the Milky Way in my cup of coffee, even if I deliberately tried to, trying to recall the scene and two or three things I know about her. You put a frame around things, you intensify the experience. And when that frame is not there, it's just experience, which is banal. And there's no way to impose that frame on reality. There's no way to turn the experience of sitting in a cafe into a shot. There's no way to turn yourself into a shot.
Just being projected right? Oh, you got a technical problem. Don't tell me you're timing that too, Roberto. It's not.
There's no masking.
No, I was just looking to see what time it is.
It's under mask.
There's a screening scene in Godard.
There's no footage.
Doesn't look like they have a line doubler.
My mother wants to see
just hope that
this.
this-
I told
don't
her.
tell
She
me.
said, "You must send me a copy of the tape." And I said, "I warn you, it's gonna be weird." And she said, "Well, I don't care."
J'aime le cinéma. J'aime le cinéma. One of the reasons why my sexuality is such a, a gargantuan failure is that it's a failure to live up to its cinematic models, is that sex is never in black and white.
Oh, it's excellent.
Cinemania.
It's very interesting.
I don't know how much we're gonna use. We shoot hours and hours and hours of us, and I'm pretty sure all my best stuff will be ending up on the cutting room floor.
No.
Not in the 6-hour cut, which I'm gonna have. I need to have the 6 hours director's cut.
I think you should go for like a 2-hour movie. That's why.
2 hours? It should be a miniseries. 2 hours.
2 hours or less.
You're so unambitious, Harvey. For a person who's seen every Muppet movie, I'm amazed at your lack of ambition.
The Muppets are more intelligent than I appear to be on screen. I think it'd be a better movie if you took me out of it, except that then you'd be left with nothing but man, 4 of them.
Yeah, that would be not stacking the deck.
No, you
But
have a comic
worse
presence.
footage in here.
It's comic. It's a funny film.
It's a comedy. It's a comic film. Yeah, it's a comic.
I'm the comic relief.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't think
the
anybody
comic
wants to
relief,
find
yes,
himself
we
the
know.
comic
Do
relief.
you think you're the only one who's comic
Yes.
relief?
No,
well,
we're all comic.
You're doing it deliberately. So when they start showing films,
Jack's gonna get himself a woman. You're being silly now.
Right. Filipino mail order bride. That's my compensation for appearing in this film.
not that I know of.
We'll have to enter the Philippines. They have very, very bad training.
La manie du cinéma, Cinemania. La manie du cinéma, Cinemania. Marilyn Monroe.
Oh my! But you are going. Have you received the funding so that you can put this on film? I mean, this is just no good. And if you put it on film, it'll still look no good.
You don't like video?
Hate it.
Gary Cooper, Dennis Hopper.
Well, I mean, it's on video to begin with, I mean, that's a problem in itself. I'm not saying that video can't be art, I'm just saying the odds are against it.
Anna Karina, Isabelle Huppert, Jodie Foster.
No, really. When you see a film, you're in the film, and you feel like you're living something. When you see a documentary, you feel like you're looking at testimony.
Alain René, Maurice René.
For me, what art is ultimately form, and I think you might be a little bit more interested in content than form. I'm not saying that you probably won't have good editing.
Roman Polanski, Klaus Kinski.
I don't know how you're going to manage to do this documentary without that clip of Rita Hayworth doing this, in Gilda.
Woody Allen, Sophia Loren.
And I will say this for the record. Walter Reed Theater should stop selling popcorn. Selling popcorn is the worst thing that an art cinema could do to its art-loving audience.
Cinemania.